hinder you. Don't you let where you've been hinder you. Don't let what they've said hinder you. Don't you let your past hinder you. You're a woman without limits. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. A woman without limits. Yes, you are. There's nothing the enemy can do to stop what God has for you. There's nothing the enemy can do to stop what God has for you. You're a woman without limits. Woman, 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 woman without limits. Na 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 na. Woman without limits. Woman. Wow, this is exciting. I'm excited. My name is Reverend Cunha, and it's a delight for me to be here and for you to be tuned in tonight. I know without a shadow of doubt, and I know I've said this before, and many times before, but I tell you this program is going to alter your destiny forever. Because the story we're about to bring is something that I never even imagined that I would get to this point. And today we're going to be talking about my own son, Jeremy Cunha. Whew. We've come a mighty long way. And you're asking me, okay, what are those things that you're holding? I'm just about to tell you, you're too much in a hurry. I was just about to reveal. Jeremy was born in the year 2000, and he was born at 6 months. So he had almost 3 months to go in the stomach before he could come out, but he came out in a hurry, because this is what we say, prophets just don't announce their arrival, they just arrive. Bishop and I asked God to give us a boy, and we said, if you give us a boy, he's going to be your prophet. We're going to, set him apart for you. He's going to be your boy. He's going to serve you, and that's it. And immediately after that, I got pregnant. And this God is so faithful, because he did give us this wonderful boy. The struggle began when I was only 2 months pregnant. And 2 months into it, I started to bleed. And I went to the hospital. And when they checked me, they said, oh, you know what? You have a heartbeat. And I told God, if I have a heartbeat, that's all I need. I'm going to fight. I'm going to stand, because you promised us, and I know you're a promise keeper. You're a covenant-keeping God. So I'm going to fight with this heartbeat. And we went on. The bleeding stopped. And then at 4 months, now it wasn't just bleeding. I went to see my gynecologist, who's going to be here in a short while. And she's going to tell us the story so that you can hear what exactly what happened. I went to see her because I had some again, little bleeding and, just some discomfort. And she looked inside and then she said, you know what? We have to terminate this pregnancy. We have to terminate it. Why? Because not only are you bleeding, but you also have some growths that look like apples. Sorry, not apples, grapes. They look like grapes together, like a bunch of grapes. And it doesn't look very nice. And she said some terminologies that were not so good. But here is the funny thing, that when the doctor said that, I smiled. I remember my husband was away. He was in Sweden preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I smiled, and she asked me, really, are you smiling? Like, this is bad, serious news. And I said, I'm smiling because I know he who began a good work in me, he is faithful to complete it. And I said, I'm not terminating anything. I know that this, what you've seen, those growths, God is going to deal with them. Let me tell you, I went to the house. My husband, remember, was away. And my 2 daughters were there. They were so tiny. And I went and I began to dance like a crazy woman. I locked myself up. I kept telling people that praise is a weapon. It is a weapon. I've used it as a weapon, and it works. And I went to the bathroom, and I began to just play my own music with a fork and a knife, and I began to just enjoy the presence of God. And I was telling God, if you're in it, it's going to be all right. And God, you've said that you're my God, that you will help me, that you will uphold me with your righteous right hand. I trust you. I believe you. Let every man be a liar, but God be true. I began to just pick scriptures and pray and worship God and praise him. And I said, I'm going to wait for my husband to come back so that we can now, go and have this check together. And when my husband came back, I told him, hey, I don't want you to panic. These were my words to him. I said, honey, I don't want you to panic. This is what they said to me. But I believe that my God has dealt with it. I'm telling you. Do you know? I went to the hospital and they checked and they asked me, this was the question the doctor asked, what did she say she saw again? I said she saw growths that looked like grapes. And he said, I don't see anything. My God. Hey, somebody. Hey. My God had already performed the miracle. There was no growth. There was no bleeding. There was no nothing. I was absolutely perfect. And God just took care of everything. And we were rejoicing and enjoying. And we went back to the gynecologist to say, look, my doctor has, we went where you sent us for the scan, and the male doctor looked and said there was no growth at all. Here are the pictures. When she saw, she began to narrate to my husband and say, you don't understand Pastor Cunha. He was Pastor Cunha then. He's a bishop right now. You all. And so she began to tell him, listen, I saw this. And she started to draw. She started to draw. She saw the grapes and they were like this and like that. And she said, I cannot believe that this is out. How? And we said, well, you better believe the God we serve. We serve a mighty God. He is a miracle worker, destiny changer, almighty God, my Redeemer. I feel like preaching already. He is a powerful God. And you could be there. And you're in this predicament right now, where nothing is seeming to work, where man cannot even do anything about it because it's beyond man. I was there. It was beyond man. They said impossible. They said let's terminate. I held on to the word of God because I tell you the truth. God is a promise keeper. He's such a powerful God. He's still a miracle worker. He still raises the dead. He still performs powerful and wondrous miracles. And so don't give up on God. And so we went on. And at 6 months, we traveled with Jeremy. At about maybe 5.5 months, we traveled with Jeremy to the States together with his sisters to go and visit a sister of mine that was in the States. And we get to the States, and 2 weeks later, I don't just bleed, my friend. I bleed. What? I went to brush my teeth. And I got to the bathroom, and the minute I entered the bathroom, I took on the toothbrush, and we were going for shopping. My 2 sisters were there. My sister, the one that follows me, who lives in the UK, had come also for us to have a good time in the States because we were visiting my older sister. And so we were ready to go shop and go paint the city red. I entered the bathroom. And as I'm brushing my teeth, I feel this hot stuff come out onto my legs. And I'm even scared of looking down. And I think the waters have ruptured. And I'm like, okay. And I suddenly look down, and the floor is full of blood. Like full of blood. Now I want you to understand something. This wasn't just bleeding. I was bleeding profusely. I could literally feel my body go shh, shh, as if it was a tap that was open. And I began to feel dizzy. And I said, Jane, my sister. She came running to the bathroom together with Pauline, my little sister. And when she saw me, she called 911 immediately. And in 2 seconds, they were there, carried me to the car, and dashed me to hospital. I mean, I tell you, my goodness, the sirens that were going off, because, you know, in the States, they come with the fire brigade, they come, the police, everybody, oh, Lord God Almighty. Like, the movie just began. Like, what? Is this me? What's going on? And I kept telling God, you promised. You promised. God, you promised. You promised. God, I'm carrying your prophet. I'm carrying your prophet. The bleeding has been too much that over uh, half the blood in your body is gone. So by this time, by the time we're getting into hospital, I was already starting to lose focus. I was starting to lose myself. And I was telling God, I can't bring this up close, and we're going to show you the pictures, because I couldn't even hold him. He was absolutely little and tiny. It was virtually impossible to hold him. And the first thing they did was cover him up with pipes, just to keep him alive. And we couldn't see his face. He was so little, we couldn't even see his face. His whole entire face and body was covered with pipes, from the head to the nose to the mouth. Every part of Jeremy was covered with tubes, and some to blood transfuse, others to eat, others to oxygen, others to, he was in the ICU, and he stayed in the ICU for months. And one day I would go to hospital. So we're going to bring this all up close, and you're going to be able to see exactly what we're talking about. And so we stayed in the hospital for the next 4 months. And the next 4 months were just a roller coaster of events. I would go to hospital, and today I find that Jeremy did very well. They would even tell me to take him and put him on myself, because when a baby is premature, and that premature, they tell you to put them very close to you, because they are already very insecure, very, very insecure, because they're afraid. Because they're afraid. All they see is death. They can't quantify, but that's exactly what happens. They see like they're going to lose their life, and so they're very insecure, and what they need is serious love. They just want you to love them and draw them close. So they kept telling me, do body to body or skin to skin, where you just put him over here. Even though he can't breastfeed, just put him over here to feel your warmth and your love and all that. So I would just be crying and holding Jeremy the whole day, and as long as he had his pipes and all that. And I was in the ICU every day, and everything in my mind kept on just hearing. Even when I left the hospital, because I would leave and go home, I would just hear the machines going off. All I could hear was dee, 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 dee. Even at night, I couldn't sleep. All I could hear was dee, dee, just that noise of the ICU. And 4 months later, they now took us home, and with a nurse. And on top of that, he still went with a ventilator, and he still, it's like he was now, he was still in intensive care, but now it was at home. So he had to sleep with the pipes. He had to be on those pipes 24/7. And they say, if you just hear a little something that's off, call us immediately, and we're going to be there. So the nurse would come every day, check on him and all that. And in a nutshell, that was how Jeremy's story began. He came from a mighty, mighty long way. And today, I came with him. Because I want him to tell us his story and his struggles in life, and we're going to hear it from him, from the horse's mouth. Amen. Why don't you put your hands together and welcome Jeremy, Kiuna, on set. Hey, Jay. So, Jeremy, hi.
Hi, Mom. How are you?
On set for the first time.
I know, right? I have to wake up early morning for this. This is insane. Yeah, but I'm here, and I'm happy. Yeah.
Okay, are you panicking right now?
In a way, but not really. I'm excited to tell people my life. Not a lot of people see my life like that. Everybody just sees it on social media, or sees it on internet, or just assumes my life just because of, everything that's going around me. But I'm more excited to tell you all how it feels to be just Jeremy. Not even to be a Cunha, just to be me, myself. Yeah, so I'm excited, because I hope this will change you and make you a better person. Yeah. So.
Wow. So, I know. Me, I don't know. I just need grace, eh? You just keep praying for your mother. Just keep saying, Father, just help her. It's okay. So, Jeremy, maybe we can reverse and just start talking about your story, like your childhood. Maybe you
Yeah.
can start from there, your childhood.
Yeah. So my childhood, as a child, I was very protected. I was very raised in a very happy family. I appreciate you and Dad for raising me in an amazing, you know.
So, you want me to pay you right now?
No, it's not even about the money,
Okay.
man. Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm straight. I got my own,
Yeah.
you know.
Okay.
So I'm good.
Yeah.
But like, I'm grateful for all the work and time you have taken to be good parents. Not a lot of people have that. Yeah. So for me, growing up as a child, I was very protected. I was very guarded. I had a very good childhood as a kid. I wasn't bad. I was a very good kid. I tried to do everything right. I played outside. I did what normal kids do. I watched TV on the cartoons. I did everything normal until I grew up, and then
Before you grew up,
yeah,
Jay, when you were a kid, you were a little boy,
yeah.
did you see like there was any difference in you?
I didn't see it until I was like in like class 1 or 2 when I was like 9 years old, and I would just walk in the field and kids would come around me and ask me what's happening, what's up with you, and to me I just thought this is just me, this is just a normal myself, but then a lot of people were like, what's up with you, I just thought to myself that I was normal, and I am normal, but yeah, that's the first time like that I actually experienced
Wondered.
that. Yeah, but as a kid growing up, like I was very guarded, very protected, and I was very raised in a very happy life household, and I'm grateful for everything you have done and raised me well. Thank you, Mom. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so when they started asking, "Hey, what's up?" What made, oh, do you know, I would actually go with Jeremy like to a supermarket, and I would carry him.
Yeah,
I would
I
carry
remember
him,
that.
and people would literally ask me, "Why are you carrying such a big boy? You're spoiling. Put him down." I'm like sit down already. I won't say, but I'm thinking, you guys don't even know my story. You don't even know what Jay is going through right now. I don't have time for you. Like, forget this. But people always mistake. People always ask questions. People always act like they know more than you.
Yeah,
Do you understand? Like, put him down. He's a big boy. Why are you carrying him? When we'd go to the movies and all that, and I would just ignore that because then you were like 6 and I was still, carrying you. So, did you start seeing like there's something different?
Um, as I said, I was very raised very well. I'm very happy for everything I had, but to me, I've always viewed myself as normal. Even now, I've never really seen anything different from me and a normal person. But I, over time, you start to realize. Over time, you start to realize, oh, there might be something that I need to work on, and that's why, even as a kid, I've been working twice as hard, 4 times as hard as people. Just to be physically fit and physically okay to be able to do the things people like you can do without blinking. So, as I'm just pretty much it just grew into it. I love my life for where I am right now. I'm grateful. I'm blessed, and to me, I'm normal. To me, I'm happy.
And you are normal, Jay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, at the age of 3, because all the time when my boy was growing up, there was no even semblance of any issue. All I could tell is that, he's not walking. And the reason why he's not walking, I kept telling myself, is just because he was premature. That's all. I would take him to all the hospitals and they would see nothing. They would all tell me, you know what, he's fine. Do you understand? And then at the age of 3, that's when they said, oh, he has cerebral palsy.
Yeah.
At the age of 3. And when they said he had cerebral palsy, I was like, what? They never saw it in the States when he was born. And they gave us a clean bill of health. They never saw anything. So at the age of 3, we now saw that, oh, he had cerebral palsy. And our journey began. And at 3.5, he went for the first surgery because he was standing on his toes. He would always stand on his toes. Like if I put him down, he would stand on his toes. And so at the age of 3.5, we took him to the best doctor here okay? And he was only 3.5, and then they went and did surgery on his, they did four in one. They cut his tendons down there and cut others down over here, and then put him on sticks and put his legs like this wide for is it 4 months? Like his legs were completely like this. Because they said that's what's going to help him to be able to put the foot down as opposed to lifting it up like this. And all this time, Jay is just Jay. You know? Just joking, just loving everybody, just giving us nice stories, just not even, he would even play football. He did. Enjoyed the football class, football in school.
Yeah, I was actually the captain.
Do you understand? Because he's very, very good at football and knows every footballer in the world. Even when they're Chinese. I mean, Jeremy just knows all. So anyway, Jeremy, fast forward, okay? Because I want to bring Dr. Susan so that we can be able to interact and really talk. Fast forward, Jay. You've now come into adulthood. You're 14 years old. And at the age of 14, God tells us to take him to America. And he says, you know, take him to the States because that is where God wants to make him. And my husband came very sternly and said, this is what God has said, this is what we have to do. I lost it. Totally, completely. I don't know who has ever lost it in life. What? My boy. Hey, it's a lie. He said, let me tell you, I'm speaking as the head of this home. I said, what? He said, I'm speaking as the head of this home. I want Jeremy to go to the States because that's what the Spirit of God has laid in my heart. I was totally torn apart. Torn. I tell you, I took that journey in obedience to God, and I cried from the time we left here all the way to America. I was weeping uncontrollably. Like how? No, who does that? Jesus, how can I take my son? So Jay, fast forward, you're now in the States. You're 14.
Man, my first time in the States.
Life begins.
Life begins, you know, like, now is when I get to realize about life. My first time, I was excited, but then they never told me I was staying. That's the crazy part. They never told me I was staying until like 2-3 weeks in there. I was like, well, I'm not here for so long. I was like, hold on. Am I staying? And then like, they told me, yeah, Jay, you're staying. You can go to school. We picked the school out. So in the beginning, I was like, I don't know. But then I kind of like started to like it. You know, I started to be like, all right, let me just stay here, see what life brings in. You know, went to normal school, felt life. It was fun. It was nice. My first experience was very nice. I enjoyed it, and I learned a lot of things. But what people don't understand is that in America, there's a lot of peer pressure. There's a lot of things that you have to do so you can fit in. It's not like they allow odd one out. You're not allowed to be an odd one out person. You gotta figure that out for yourself. Like, you gotta cut off people you cut off. You gotta learn to grow for yourself, because people don't do it for you. You see, the thing about here in Kenya is like, they're here to help you. You could stay in someone's house when you're 26. I'm like, 26? I've never seen that. In America, that's never happened. What? 26? You're a grown person. Live your own life. You know what I mean? Like, they teach you to be grown, to be responsible, to be independent, to start paying bills, you know, to start dealing with life at a very young age. So in the beginning, when I was 14, I enjoyed it. And then school started to happen, and that was like the first time I started to realize life, you know, like, this is how it feels to be in life, because you have to grow personally first before you even grow with your friends, you know what I mean? Yeah, so that was like my first time growing in
And then now friends, you started to meet people who now
Yeah.
were against you or showing you that you have a problem.
Yeah, so I started to meet people that, were like, started to hate. That's the first time I realized negativity. Because in my life, when I was growing up here,
You were
it was
shielded.
very positive. It was very, this is good. This is a good life. This is something you can grow into. But then now it started to be more negative. People started to be negative around me and hate me. I was like, are you hating on me? I'm cool with everybody, But thank God to you, I was very confident from day one. I've always been confident, to be straightforward, to be real, to be that type of person ever since I was young. So having friends wasn't hard. The reason is having the right friends was hard, because the right friends is what matters the most than just friends. Because at the end of the day, friends that are just friends are going to leave you. Friends that are the right friends stick with you no matter what. That's always the truth, you know? Yeah, so for me, I had friends, but I didn't have the right friends until I had to make a conscious decision. Yeah.
And then you were pushed. You started getting very desperate, like feeling lonely, feeling alone,
Yeah.
feeling that you have all these people, but you're really alone.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. Like I would feel alone, but I had so many people. But that's the thing. Like I never really knew that it was like depression. I never really knew what it was in the beginning. I was just like, maybe I'm just feeling down. I'll be good. Like, cause I've always been a positive kid. I've always been positive from step to step. I've always been, all right, let me just be positive. Let me do my thing. Let me be happy. Cause that's what I've learned. Happiness is joy. Joy comes from within. So like, until when depression started to come, I was like, okay, hold on. Like, what is this? And then I remember when I started getting suicidal at the age of 14. It was very young. I was very shocked. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, what was going on? Like, I was like, this is weird, But then, like, peer pressure to, like, start doing stuff because people were doing them. Like, for example, people will watch pornography and tell you, bro, you should watch this, and then you would just watch it because people watch it. But I was like, what is this really? And then you start watching it, and then it gets an addiction, and then you just like, whoa, like, I might need to just stop this or something like this. Or like, they start talking about girls in a different way instead of helping girls out to be positive, powerful. Like you taught me, every woman is a queen. Every woman is to be respected. They start disrespecting women. They start, now is when I started to realize that. But yeah, suicide is a real thing. People don't see that. People be like, he's just down. Suicide is a real thing. People get really, really depressed, and it's a real thing in this world. People need to start realizing that, all right, we need to figure this out. That's why even, like, death is happening in schools, and right now people are dying, people are committing suicide, people are killing each other. Love and suicide is, like, the thing. Like, you have to find it, like, compared. It's like nobody really compares it, but they're like the same thing. Because like suicide, you feel alone. Suicide, you feel depression. Love, you feel kindness. You feel purity. You feel all these different things. So it's very compared, but people don't understand that it's compared. It's two different ways. Yeah, kind of thing.
In two different ways.
Yeah.
So you called your father.
I did.
And you said, oh, Dad.
Yeah, I called my dad the first time. Shout out to Dad. Thank you. I love my dad. Dad's great. So I called my dad the first time, and I called him. I was like, Dad, I'm having an issue with this depression thing. It was like, depression? And he hits me up. He's like, what's this about? Then he calls you, and then I call you on the phone, and you start crying.
You mean screaming?
Yeah.
You mean screaming. You don't mean crying.
Yeah,
you
she
mean
was like,
screaming.
What is this? What is this?
Oh,
What is this?
Because what did you say? I'm like
Yeah.
that. My boy is a confident boy. What's going on?
Yeah, so like,
I am totally flabbergasted, torn apart. I want to fly. I want to walk to America. I want to walk like now. Like what? You're talking about my son, the boy that I love with all my heart. How now? What is this?
Yeah.
And he says, I actually even contemplated suicide.
I tried, yeah. I tried twice. I tried twice. Yeah, it wasn't a thing. I was like in the middle of like, like when you can't breathe, when you're like in the middle of life and death, you start to realize, is this really what I want? And then you put your head back up. You're like, okay, hold on, this is not what I want, because I want to be happy at the end of the day. Yeah, but when that happened, and I could hear it in both your voices, but mostly yours. I could hear the why would you do this to yourself kind of thing. So I thought to myself, it wouldn't be right for my parents, because my mom has been the best mom she could ever be. I'm telling you this right now. My mom is the best mom in this entire world. And she has really loved me through everything. And yeah, so that was when I called her. They were like, "Are you really happy?" And then that's the first time I moved from what do you call it? From Dallas to Atlanta. And
Yes. Whew. I don't think there's any phone call that's worse than your child calling you and telling you they wanted to commit suicide. And you're like, what? How? How? Whew. For me, it was impossible to believe, because this is a happy child. This is a child that has grown up covered, protected, surrounded with love. Then I'm like, what? How? And he says the peer pressure was too much. The peer pressure, just people wanting him to be what he's not, wanting him to act a certain way. And he has to put up a facade to be who he's not, so that other people can feel it. The way people push you to be what you're not, just so they can feel comfortable. And so he went and he was talking to them about Jesus. And they're wondering, what are you talking about, dude? What Jesus are you and trying to drag him out of his belief. And showing him how, he doesn't need to take that direction. So anyway, okay, fast forward, Jay. Now you've moved from Dallas. You've now gone to Atlanta, and you've gone to this school that's really black dominant, because Atlanta is more of a black state, more than Dallas or any other states. Okay, so now you've gone to this Atlanta, and it's and now life is happening.
Yeah. I don't know what age to explain this, because I've spent 4 years in Atlanta. First, the support system in Atlanta was more, because Dallas we only had 2 people. So Dallas
the support
wasn't,
system.
The support system in Atlanta was like, we had 40 people. So there were a lot of, it was like back home. It was like here, and there were a lot of people I could talk to. There were a lot of people I could meet her with. But the first time I went there, it was actually through my best friend, Darian. He was like, why don't you just move here? And I moved there, and he was really welcoming. And that's when I finally got to see family, and I finally got to grow in that. But fast forward, I'm about 15, 16 years old when I joined school. After summer, I joined school. My first time in school, it was really, really tough. I will always say this. My first time in school was really, really tough, because for like 3 weeks, I didn't have no friends. I would go there and I would sit at one spot, eat by myself the whole lunch, walk out this for 3 weeks. I can call you, I was like, what do I do? I'm not this type of person, so I don't know if I should call mom, I don't know if I should call dad. And so I was like, for 3 weeks I was just there by myself, realizing like, dang, I feel alone. But every time I went home, I felt at home, because that's when I felt more family, But then when I went to school, it was a whole different ballgame. And then
You
I
said to me,
yeah.
you said to me that people with who are differently enabled like you,
Yeah.
because you're differently enabled.
Yeah.
You're not. I don't like saying somebody's disabled, because that's really not right. Because there is nothing that Jeremy cannot do. Number one. Number two, Jeremy is a very, very sharp kid. Put him there with anybody, he's going to beat them at their game. He's very sharp. Jeremy is very, very knowledgeable. There is nothing this boy doesn't know, from presidents of whatever country to anything. He is so informed. Like, I'm not even quarter informed as my son is. He's a sharp kid. So for people to just disqualify him because he's not walking like them, it's very sad. I think it's a very sad society. We need to get to a point where you understand that, you know what? And I told Jeremy, I said, listen, you're just differently enabled. Somebody may be walking, but they are not hearing. Somebody may be hearing, but they are not seeing. Somebody may be seeing, but they are depressed. Somebody may be having all those things, but they are really emotionally destabilized. Somebody else is suicidal. Somebody else, they look okay to you. Do you understand? Just because, so it's very sad when society has to judge you based on your different enablement. Because we are all, everybody in life, minus nobody, struggles with something. And that's what I've had to tell Jeremy. Everybody struggles with something. So and people try to oppress others based on where they are. Like you're not talking properly. Hey, so they try to oppress you by that, because you can't see what they are going through inside. They are going through bitterness and anger and hatred and animosity and all that. You can't see it. But unfortunately for him, you can be able to see. Do you understand? So people normally, you told me, there's something you told me, that before you can even say something, somebody has already determined for you. Maybe you can tell us that. Like you appear somewhere and people just look at the way you're walking and they...
Yeah, like people, okay, so like, this is the funniest thing, but also one of the most serious things. Let's say, for example, you're walking in a mall. You're just walking, like it's just normal walking. You're walking in a mall and everybody looks at you. You start to realize, okay, why are you looking at me? Because to you, you're normal. To them, you're different. So it's like a whole different ball game in life, because people don't see you as normal. It's like you have to, for people with challenges, it's like we have to beat this trial just to fit in. Like we have to, like, it's a challenge. It's like, for example, I love video games. So every video game has a different level. And for you to join the video game, you have to be able to be this certain level to be one of the strongest. So in a video, it's like a video game. You start at this point, but you have to get at this point to just be considered a person. They black out everything else and they say, you're not human until you beat this person or beat this level specifically to get there. So yeah, it's a very big assumption type thing. People assume a lot of things. Yeah, I'll say that.
Hi, I am so excited to be bringing to you my latest book. I'm calling it Think on These Things. This book is about compiling some wisdom nuggets that will help you be able to navigate through the issues of life. I want to tell you this book is life-changing. It will encourage you. It will bless you. And the most interesting thing about this book is that the chapters are short and on point, so that you don't have to tire reading a chapter of 10, 15 pages. It's an incredible book that will be a blessing to you, and I'm so excited. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing changes until our mind changes. And this book will help you to know how to shape your mind, to know how to think right, and to put proper things in perspective so that you can be able to win in life. I want you to get a hold of this book. It will bless you.
Without limits.